Hi everyone, my name is Bryan, board member at the Washington County Historical Society, and as some of you might know me better, Tavern Keep at the Sign of the Hangman's Noose at our Frontier Living History Center in Washington Park, Washington, PA. Usually every spring we do our spring sip-and sup, but unfortunately this year we couldn't do it because of the COVID-19. So we want to try to bring to you some of the 18th century. And the best way we know how is over videos like this that we're going to post on Facebook. The first thing I'm going to be talking about today is venison. And, this would have been a staple along any trailside, meal. It would have also been in just about every home, cabin along the frontier. And it would have been in taverns as well. Some of them say that venison was like the bread out here on the frontier, meaning that they ate a ton of venison. They ate a lot of meat. And so what we have here today is the way that you would have seen it prepared, definitely along trailside, but also, they would have roasted it over the fire as well, in the hearth in a cabin, or definitely at a tavern. They would have had little racks hanging right by the fire. So the mixture that we have, my wife made up here, Kate, it's, now, of course, they wouldn't have, they would have probably, if they would have had it, salted it a little bit, but really, they would just put it over fire and roasted it. But you know what? We like it. We like to bring out the flavors of the venison. So what we've cured it, or kind of marinated in here today is olive oil, Worcestershire sauce. There's a little salt and pepper. There's a little bit of honey for a little sweetness, and finely grated shallots and garlic. We let that marinate for at least 24 hours. So let's put some meat here on the fire and get this starting to cook. Now, what you see me using is something called a meat fork. They're also called squirrel forks. They say you could roast a squirrel over the fire with them. But I'll tell you what, I think more often than not, they were probably called meat forks. And as you can see, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to poke these on here. And, I myself have made all of these. I do a little blacksmithing for fun. But these are made to be able to index. So I'm going to let this cook, and then I'll turn it a little bit, cook it some more. So it's kind of a slow process, but I'm going to tell you what, it makes the meat delectable. It really brings out the flavors, because you're going to get, that great kind of roasting action over the fire, but you're also going to pick up some of the smoke taste from the different types of woods that you're using. So I'm going to put one more piece on here, and then we're going to let this do its magic and cook up for us. And as you can see here, you just kind of have to get them around the fire, and it's already starting to cook up. You can see it starting to drip. It's going to do its magic, and we'll be back here in a little bit to take them off the fire, and then I'm going to show you one more snack that, or actually not a snack, I'm going to say it's probably more of a staple that would have been in every home, along every trail, and definitely in taverns. We'll be right back. Alright, so we're back. The meat's been cooking very nicely over the fire, and while it's still kind of just doing its magic, we're going to make the second thing that I have for you today, and that is the Journey Cake, or a Johnny Cake. They're known by many different names, and this is something that does come from the old country, from England. They would have made oat cakes over there, but out here, everyone's using corn. They're not using wheat. You might find rye or barley, because wheat's kind of expensive. So what they're doing is they're using cornmeal, and that's what we're going to use today. So So this is ground up cornmeal. You know, there's been a little more coarse grind, but what we're going to do to that, I've put a little bit of salt, and what we're going to do is we're kind of make like little cakes, and we're gonna cook them up here in a nice pan. You can do these as ash cakes as well, which means you'd kind of find a little cooler place and you'd cook them right in the fire itself. But we're going to start getting this to heat up here a little bit. And we'll put a little butter in there once it comes up to temperature. But first, we got some water here. It's warm. It's been by the fire. Warm water seems to help a little bit. But you just want to add just a little bit at a time. Don't want to add too much. So we're just going to start mixing this all together here. Just combining it up. And like I said, you want to get it to a doughy consistency. You can make these like pancakes, so you can actually take them and make like a pancake batter with it as well. But to that, you're probably going to want to cook them, fry them up a little, definitely in some lard, which would be really good, or butter always makes everything taste better. So it's kind of getting to the consistency where we want it. By the trail side, when I used to do a lot of trekking, which was a very, very long time ago, getting dressed up like this and going out in the wild, we would make these right in our hand. We would take about a handful of our cornmeal, and then we'd make a little divot and pour the water in there and just knead it up. All right, so she's starting to come together. Pretty together. Maybe just a little bit more because it's just a little bit dry. It's wanting to fall apart. So let's just add a little bit more water to that. There we go. All right, now she's coming together like I want it. All right. Okay, I'm liking that. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's put a little bit of butter. Well, actually, first thing let's do, let's make these into cakes. So let's bring this up here, bring this into one main ball, knead it together. Now, like I said, these things, they could cook up a ton of these. Let's say I've heard a couple hundred, and they would store them then. You could actually, think of something like hardtack, cooking up something like that, and they would then store them probably in a barrel or something like that, and you could take these things with you on the trail and they would keep. That's the great thing about it. You could warm it up then over the fire, and eat it right up. I don't know if they'd soften them up in water or anything like that, but they would definitely heat them back up again. It's a nice thing to have probably on a cold day, but the bread that we eat today that we think of, they actually said it was too light. They wanted something like this that would stick to their bones, this unleavened bread. All right, we're getting them made up here. They're looking pretty good. I'm gonna make these ones kind of small. I'm gonna knead them together just a little bit more. Seem to be coming together pretty decent. I don't want to get them too thin. I want them to hold together, hold their shape. Even they would cook these on a hot rock. They might have a rock in their fireplace. They could cook them on griddles, which is just like a grill that we have today. They had them back then. They make up the cake like this and cook it right up. All right, she seems to be getting pretty good and hot there, I can see. Okay, so let's put a little butter in here. Okay. We're going to put these right on in and put them back in the fire here. That one came apart. That's okay. All right, so let's just let them cook away there and see how they come out. cooking these right down on the coals. I'm putting the pan right onto the coals. I might move the coals around a little bit, get a little better heat, but you don't want too hot. You don't want to burn them. We're going to let them do their thing. Yeah, let's put some butter in next. You ready?
I'm gonna do my movie.
Yes, you are. You're going to be in the movie.
Okay.
Stay right here. Stay right here. Okay.
Trying to make this yard big.
Okay, the journey cakes are cooking up pretty good. They're looking pretty decent. You know, this is something you just have to kind of do by feel. I mean, this one here could go just a little bit longer, so we're just about there. We get this one a little more heat, but they're looking actually really good, and I'm getting excited to see how these are going to taste.
Okay, I'm here.
You're back.
Yeah. Now start the movie again.
We'll start here pretty soon. Does it look like fun? Yeah. They're cooking up. I'm gonna put a little more butter in there. So we're just about there. I think everything's looking pretty good now. Johnny cakes are nice and firmed up. Got a nice little hard exterior to them. Well, there she is. You here to watch what I do next? So what we're going to do, we're going to take these Johnny cakes off the fire. Got a nice sound to them. Look at them there. They look really good. We're going to put them down on the board. Set this off to the side. And the next thing that we have here is our meat. All right. A really great venison. She looks really nicely cooked. This one here, yeah, she might need to go just a little bit longer. I know this one here is good and done. That one there is a little bigger, thicker piece. So let's just get these off. I don't know, maybe she might need to go a little bit longer too. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, I think she needs to just go a little bit longer. Alright, let's put that back on the fire. There we go. They'll keep cooking, but we got a good piece right here. So we're going to tear some of that off. Looks very delicious. Oh my gosh. That is well worth the wait. So you know what I've been wanting to do? I'm going to tear some of this here. Beautifully cooked. I have been thinking about this ever since I wanted to do this video. Some Johnny cake, or a journey cake, with a little bit of venison. My God. That is delicious.
Is that delicious?
It's delicious. I could keep eating that all day long. You know what? The next time that we can all get together, I think at the sign of the Hangman's Noose, we'll be doing some venison with some journey cakes. And hopefully you will be there when this is all over. So enjoy that dinner with us. See y'all next time.